How do you communicate your value while still coming off as humble and avoiding a perception that you are bragging? Hi, I'm Marisa Santoro, and I help professionals own their value so they can consistently stand out and increase their impact and income in their careers. Today I want to share with you a simple 3-step formula. If you, like me back in the day, felt like, you know what, when I am selling myself, right? When you're selling yourself, you're not always sure if there is a perception that you're bragging, right? Or the ego is inflated, and that's not really the message that you want to get across. You want to get across your value. You want to own your value. You want to own your authority. So a quick 3-step formula here. Number 1, I want you to really think about the skills and talents and experience that you have that you bring to the table in your role. Right? Really getting clear on what those are, right? Maybe there are things that you've just learned over the years that you know how to do in your sleep, or maybe you have a knack for certain things. I remember back in the day when I was just starting off as a computer programmer, just finished graduating from college, and I had one of my first roles after college. And aside from the tech part of my role, which was in the job description, I recognized early on that there was also a void in that there was a necessity to create white papers and best practice write-ups. And, Sarbanes-Oxley at the time had just launched in terms of compliance. And so I was doing a lot of writing in addition to my computer science responsibilities. And that, I would say, looking back, was a talent. It wasn't something I was expected to do, but not many people like to do it. And I loved to write technical documentation, right? It seemed a little bit boring. It seems a little bit boring when I think about it now, but at the time, I really enjoyed it. And so when you are clear on just the natural gifts and talents that you have, that you bring to your job, to your role, maybe you like to mentor people, maybe you like to coach others, right? It's not in your job description, but it's something that you just do naturally because it's who you are, right? I really want you to tap into what those skills sets that you have, what those talents and natural gifts are that you have, what experience you have that maybe from a former role you're bringing to your role, right? What are your lessons learned? Really tap into and get clear on what those things are, because that will not only lift your confidence, but will also create a very strong sense of clarity, which in turn will completely change the energy and the vibration that you bring to that conversation, right? It's not so much selling yourself, it's being yourself, right? And getting clear on what those things are from not an ego point of view, but really from what you believe, right? What you believe are the things that are valuable that you bring to your role. Now, the second part of that formula is I want you to get clear on the results of what you deliver for your clients. So are there things that you deliver, right? Maybe you do them in your sleep. Maybe you do them weekly, monthly, quarterly. They're just things, deliverables, results that you deliver for your management, for your business partners, for your stakeholders, for your external clients if you work externally with clients. Right? There are things that you deliver. What are those things? What are those results? I'm not talking about the process of what you do, right? I want you to speak to the product of what you do, not the process, right? Speak product, not process. Again, clarity on what it is that you really deliver for your clients. And you know what? If you're not 100% clear on that, well, you might want to have, this might be a good opportunity for you to have those conversations to get the feedback, right, from your clients on what it is, that they've really appreciated in the work that you do, and maybe even what could be improved, right? So you really want to dial that in, because when you're having a conversation, let's just say with your manager, and you're speaking to the last quarter of results, right? There are metrics, there are things on paper that you can quantify, and then there are things that you uniquely do and or your team under your leadership that has equal value, that has equal weight, but can necessarily be easily quantified on a piece of paper or in a spreadsheet, right? So as an example, maybe one of the things that you do is you listen to the voids that are not, being filled on a project, and you can tap into the resources that are needed in order to fulfill on the deliverables of that project, right? You'll pick up the phone and call the person that you need. You'll, meet regularly with your clients, giving them your ear, giving them your time, right? These are all things that are so subtle, and yet they really create an entire picture of what you do for your clients. And a lot of times, people share all the time, I keep my manager, on track with some of the things that he or she may have forgotten because he's, they're dealing with so many other projects. And so, one of the things that I uniquely do is to keep the most impactful activities and goals that we need to make in our conversation. So that also has value. Again, when you're selling yourself, you want to have that clarity, and that has to come full force. It's not that you're talking about those things, although I believe you should on your performance reviews, and I also believe you should call your own performance reviews as often as you can so that you're not waiting to the end of a year to talk about your performance. But I do believe that just having that clarity on what you uniquely do and deliver, and the results, not the process, the results you give your clients will help you more easily. All right, be in a conversation where you really are needing to sell yourself, right? Not in an egotistical way, but to really honor and stand your ground on what you bring to the table. And that has to come from clarity. It just does. Clarity is confidence, right? And then the third part of our gutsy leader formula here is leading with your natural personality, right? If you're witty, be witty, bring that to the table. If you're funny, a little sarcastic but funny, bring that to the table. If you listen, you're a very active listener and you can sort of filter out the noise and get right into what it is that your management or your colleagues or your team members or your business partners are saying. Honor that as well, right? Really lead with your natural personality. A lot of times I hear, especially from women, where they feel like they have to sort of be buttoned up based on the industry they're in. I came from financial services. I worked in the Wall Street arena for 20 years. I know all about what it feels like to need to be, or at least be perceived to need to be buttoned up, right? And it's a mindset shift that you want to make. Obviously you want to meet people where they are. If, let's say, your manager or your client speaks fast, you kind of want to keep up with them and you don't want to be too slow. Yes, you want to adapt like a chameleon, right? Change your colors based on your environment, but you also don't want to suppress who you are. You want to bring your natural personality in on these conversations. So, and that intention, right, is that you have when you're having a conversation where you have to, what seems to be bragging, it's not really bragging, it's selling your value and owning your value energetically, intentionally. That will be felt, not in a bragging point of view, but from a place where, you know what, this is me. This is what I bring to the table for my clients, for the people that rely on me, my team. Even maybe not if you don't even have direct reports, right? Maybe teams that rely on you as dotted lines. Like, don't even have to be in a manager position. This is what I deliver for my clients, and these are the things that I uniquely do, based on all my experience and skill sets. If you work with this 3-part formula before you enter in that conversation, right, you will energetically be so much more aligned to not only what you intend to share in the meeting and what you want to walk away with, but you will feel good, right? You'll feel natural. You'll feel good. You'll feel like, you know what? Here's who I am, right? And you go in there with what I like to call high intention, low attachment. High intention of what you want to create, high intention on what the takeaways you want to have clarified before you leave that meeting, and low attachment in terms of how that actually works itself out, right? Don't be too attached to how things work out, like how someone is going to respond to you, or how the things that you're asking for in terms of your work or your promotion will be created or manifested. Don't get attached to that how, but definitely go in there with the high intention of what you want to create, and then let it go before you walk out of that. You are not responsible for how people perceive you. If they perceive you as bragging, if they perceive you with an ego, well, then so be it, right? But as long as you're clear, everyone else will be clear. And the truth of the matter is when you look back at conversations that you've had where, someone is saying things that you wouldn't necessarily agree with, right? You're able to sort of filter out that noise and still get to the heart of, this person is still coming from a good place. I may not agree with them, but they're coming from a good place. Their intention is good. And they can feel that, right? Thoughts become things. And so you have to really give a lot more weight. And I learned this for myself. Give more weight to the intention and the energy that you bring to these conversations, because other people will feel that. And then you don't have to worry about the words that you say, right? You could say nothing. That intention will be felt. All right, I hope this was helpful. I'm Marisa Santoro with In Our Shoes, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now.